Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time of day you're watching us, and whatever Between the Lines podcast, where we talk about adolescence, parenting, and of course, everything in between. This is our 13th episode, and I want to use this medium to say a very big thank you to everyone who has always been watching us. Thank you for your support. In today's episode, we'll be talking about learning from setbacks, how failure can shape success. I know that at the beginning of the year, we had goals that we wanted to achieve. We have things that we wanted to do. We have things that we just set for ourselves that, okay, by December 2025, I should have achieved this, I should have done that, I should have done this. And well, for some of us, I know that we're unable to achieve some of those things, but that does not define us. We had setbacks during the course of the year. There are some things that we could not succeed at during the course of the year and all of that. So in today's episode, we'll be looking at how we can bounce back from setbacks. And of course, we have our guest in the house who is going to do justice to that for us. Conversation. So join me as I bring up on stage our guest for today. Okay, yep. Hello, Olamide.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, I can hear you. Can hear you. So great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Great. Thank you for thank you for accepting to do this with us. All right. So our topic is, as said, learning from setbacks, how failure
Yeah.
can shape success. Let's begin with what failure means. What exactly is failure?
Okay. So, failure means different things to different people. Um, but first of all, I would like to state that failure is not a person. Failure is an event. That has been the ideology for me right from when I was growing up. That failure is not a person. That failure is an event. If I fail at something, it doesn't mean I'm a failure. It's just happening. So I don't see failure as the defining moment for me. I just see it as an event that happened um, at that certain period that we need to take learnings from. So that's my own way. That's my own way of seeing failure or defining failures. It means different things to different people, but the basic thing that I believe failure should be, that we need to have a clear understanding of that failure is an event, is not a person. So basically, that's what I see failure as it is.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I understand where you are coming from, because many times when we fail at something, we just say, "Oh, I'm a failure." We
Mhm.
personalize the term failure and
Yeah.
call ourselves failure, whereas we are not. That event or that situation does not entirely define us. So
Yes.
I agree with you that it's not the person. And we should not call ourselves failure because we failed at one thing, just one thing, and then we just base our
Mhm.
entire existence on the fact
Mhm.
that we
Mhm.
act the
Mhm.
failure as.
Mhm.
Thank you
Mhm.
very much for that. Now, do you think failure is an essential part of the learning process? Do you think
Yes.
failure is an
Yes.
important part of
Yes, absolutely. 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 I saw somewhere or I read somewhere that the pathway to success is sometimes filled with blocks of failures. In life, it's almost certain that for you to succeed, you have to fail, as it were. So, failure is part of success. Let me just put it that way. Um, for for me as an event, let me try and digress a bit to what I do as an experiential person. Like, so we have an objective when it comes to when we get a grade from our clients, and it's almost looking like you have to walk through chaos to achieve the success or the objective of the client when you get a grade. So, and as you move along those processes, you will hit roadblocks. And roadblocks can sometimes mean failure. But at the end of the day, you get to your destination, which is as a way in quotes. Success is not a destination anyway, it's a journey. So which is the client's objective. But you have to go through pathways of failure as a way of chaos for you to get there. So I think failure, and I think the way the word is shaped in such a way that for you to be good at something, you have to fail at it so many times. So it's to show you data points, for lack of words, of how not to do it or how to do it better. So failure for me, I I strongly believe failure is an essential part of success. I, great men, we've heard stories that before they eat the success that they have now or the accomplishment they have, they failed at it. So it's another way to learn how not to do things. So I believe the world is shaped in that way by God, that for you failure should is an essential part, not should be, is an essential part of anybody's success story. So I strongly believe that.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
thank you. So, failure, yeah, yeah, thank you. I got that. So, failure is not necessarily the opposite of success. It is part
No.
of success. You know, when they're teaching us what an
Yes.
opposite of success is failure. But from what you've
Yes.
said, is like failure is not the opposite of success. It is
Yes.
part of
Yes.
success. And then
Correct.
when we don't succeed at something, okay, when we don't succeed at something, it doesn't necessarily mean that we failed. If we are targeting something and we're unable to actually get that thing, or maybe succeed at that thing, doesn't necessarily mean that we failed at that thing.
Okay. So I think we need to establish a mindset. I think, like I said, failure is not a person. Failure is not a person; it's an event, and it's a mindset. It's not just it's a mindset and perspective. So if 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 I failed at something, right, my mindset should be that this is a learning process. So to me, if you have that mindset, every time you hit a roadblock, you will see it as failure. You will see it as a learning process for you to learn from to get to where you are going. So it's important that we have that mindset and perspective for us to be able to, as it were in quotes, I don't want to say rise above failure, but to for you to learn from and move forward as regards what you are pursuing. So it's more of a mindset than circumstances or situation that one finds him or herself in. Do you understand? So to me, it's a mindset and a perspective, and I think is somewhat continuous. It's not something like I have a mindset that if I fail, it's a learning process. Is a continual. How should I put it now? Meditation, for lack of it's not lack of words. It's meditation. It's a continual meditation that has to be going through your mind every time, that whenever you hit a roadblock, this is a learning process. And like I always tell myself, it will always pass. You get whatever situation or setback that we find ourselves in. The truth is, it will always pass. So, and it definitely it passes. And you look back in hindsight, and you realize that why are you worried? Why are you anxious at that time? But I believe God God kind of did that in such a way that your human, how should I put it, your human frailty will come to play as at that time, and know that God God have your back. Let me just pray that way. Sorry, I'm a Christian, so I have to bring God in.
Thank you very much. So failure is more of a mindset thing, that or we see failure based on our mindset than the circumstance. Thank you very much. All right, would you be willing to share a personal story about a significant setback that you had, maybe at your place of work? Would you want to share a personal story and how you were able to handle that setback?
Okay, that thank you for that question. That's a very deep question. I'm trying to I have let me say I have touch points of failure in the course of my life. Um, I'm trying to pick one. Once everything is significant because at every point I get to learn something new, right? Um, so let me go back to when I was in school, right? When I was in OAU. Um, I did well as a pretty good student. I came into university through pedigree. I did well um, as a pretty good student. So I'm saying this. I actually wanted to pick that story because it will relate more to our audience, which are teenagers, right? So I actually came into OAU through pedigree. I did well in pedigree, had A's, scored 70s, and got into the department I want, which is chemical engineering, right? And I know, let me is it ego or pride that I have done well in pedigree. I should do well in OAU. But we know how AU we show you shaky. So the first result I saw, which was MCH 101, that was my first result ever. I could remember vividly. We just resumed school. I know you upon their live posting results when you just resume school. I don't know why they do that, but I just resumed that particular day. So it's on a Sunday. I can remember. I can never forget. It was on a Sunday. So I got back, just came into campus, and my friends told me they release results MTH 101. Then they usually post it in White House. So everybody ran to White House to check. Everybody was checking. Then I checked mine, and I saw that I had F9. Ah, it was. I had to check again because I did well in pedigree in mathematics. How come I'm now failing? My first result in OAU was F9. It was a bit devastating to me at that time. But what helped me was because I've had instances of failure right before I got into IFE. I've been able to train my mind to see it as an event. That's why I said it's a constant training of your mind to see whenever you hit setback, it's an event. It doesn't define me. So it's a constant reminder for me. It doesn't define who I am. And the way it works with me, whenever I hit setbacks like that, I try to I try to put my not compartmentalize my life, put my life in sections that my health is good, my finances is good, my family is good, uh, this one is not good. So out of four things, three is good and one is bad. Then I'm not a failure. So I looked at it at that time. That was the only subject I failed that semester. That was my first semester. So I looked at it and I said, uh, we will do it again. Funny enough, I did it again and it was good. So my the way it was significant because that was the first result I'm seeing in OAU and it was an F9. It was huge. I remember that I had to call, I think I had to, I can't remember whether I'm not a crying person. If I see failure, I don't cry. You know, some people when they feel, they start crying. Me, I'm not crying. I'm pained, but I won't cry. so, so that's where I view things. And for me, when I saw it, it was just out of all the subject I did, this is the only thing I failed. I move on. So I'm not a failure. So it was a significant something for me because that was the first result I saw. And I remember that day. I still went back that night. I started playing. I'm not saying everybody should do this, but for me, I started playing game. I can remember that night. I had PS5 in my friend's room. Everybody is looking at me like, but why you shake by F9? No matter what, expect on myself. Don't play game. Because it's a mindset for me. Yeah, I'm not defined by it. I will do it again and I will pass it. So that was one of the that was one of the significant story when it comes to, I call it touch points of failure, because they are touch points for me. So that was one story that I'm not sure I could ever forget in my life. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that story. And I think that many people can relate to having F in school, you know.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and the fact that people have a who failed in school, it can make them get discouraged and be like, "Wow, what's even the point? If my first result is F, so
Yeah.
what's the point?" It can actually get them discouraged. It's going to take, someone who has built that mindset over time to say that, okay, this is just it to pass. It's just a phase in life and it's going to pass. Like you said, the mindset is very important. The perspective, how we see things, how we view things is very, very important. Thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
personal story.
So
Now, a follow-up question is,
just to add
what
to
was the
that,
most
sorry,
important
thank you.
no
Can you hear me?
problem. Yes, I can hear you.
So I just wanted to add something to that because I wonder how I came about the mindset for myself. Um, it's not something that I was taught to by my parents. It's not something that somebody actually sat me down. And I think it's something that I saw from is a mindset that I picked up from my guardian, that's Pastor Tunde, because he himself also had touch points of failure, and I see how he rose above it. So I'm speaking to parents that have teenagers, that whenever they need to train their teenagers um, such mindset, in the sense that failure is not an event. Failure is not a person. Failure is an event. They need to It's something that they need to constantly train their teenager. And I think it starts from when they are young. How do I mean? Because I saw that both of us went for a trip during Christmas Day. In the night, I saw uh, two people were competing, children were competing, and obviously one person won, and the other girl was crying. In my mind, I was like, that's a learning point for the parents to teach the girl that you did fail. You're also a winner. That you're alive. You're also a winner. You know, but I think parents should use all those touch points of failure to teach something impactful to their teenagers whenever teenagers find themselves in those kind of situations, because a lot of times we don't know how to separate our emotions from things that happen to us, because of the way God made us. So I think it's something that parents should take upon themselves to teach and impact on their teenagers. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to chip in.
Thank you very much. That's very profound and it's true. And I like the way you call it touch points of failure. I'm going to adopt that phrase. So I did not feel, I just had a touch point of failure. Interesting. All right, so I was about asking that what was the most important lesson you learned from that experience, from the
You
personal
well,
experience that you shared?
a lot of people. Well, to me, sometimes when I think about it, I think I'm always there. I was listening to someone lately, and the person said made a statement that I think he didn't say I think, he said I know that God loves me. I just know that God loves me. And me, I could relate to it, to be honest, because sometimes I just feel I know. It's not like I feel, I know that God loves me. God loves me enough that He won't allow this failure to go without bringing success out of it for me, or without me working with Him to bring success out of it to His own glory, right? So one of the very key things that I used to that is more like an anchor for me is God's love. That sounds simple, right? But it's something that is entrenched somewhere in my mind and somewhere in my spirit, that I'm loved by God. So even if I fail, God will use that failure to bring something beautiful out of it. So that's my consciousness, to be very honest. And to that's I, you know I was thinking about it when we discussed it, and I looked at it. What is that anchor that holds me? What's that anchor that keeps me moving? And I would say it's God's love. A lot of people, I'm trying to see how I'm trying to bring it home to make it practical, but to be honest, I think it's best experienced than it's not something you can teach. It's something that one have to experience himself, which will impact how you manage failure, right? Because if you have an understanding that you are loved by God, then if God cannot fail, then you can't fail. Not that you won't have touch points of failure, but if you have an understanding that you are loved by God, God will use that situation, and use it to bring out something good. I'm a testament of that, to be very honest. So I I I don't know how to. I don't, to be honest, I don't know how to bring it home for people to relate to it. But for people that that know, it's the the the, the anchor for me is that I'm loved by God. It's just I'm loved by God. That's my anchor. So whenever I go through situation, Aside that, I know that failure is an event and is not me. One of the anchor is that I'm loved by God. So God will use it to bring out beauty from it. Right. Can you hear me?
Okay, thank you. Yes, yes, I got that. Thank you very much. And the truth is, everybody is loved by God. God loves everybody. Okay, thank you. Now, from that event or from that experience you had, how did that experience further shape, sorry, let me read the question. How did that experience shape your approach to challenges since then? Like after you had that experience with touch points of failure, how did your approach to challenges, how did it shape your approach to challenges going forward?
No, it made me very, should I say, resilient. Resilient in the sense that I must, I, you know, I, you know, when I say resilient to know that, okay, this is not how to do this thing. There's another way, or there's a better way. There are some things that I failed at and I stopped doing it. I didn't bother doing it. And there are some things that I know I failed at and I stayed on it and I succeeded in it and at it. Because, for example, my career, have had exploits of failure, but I'm over a half a decade in my career, and you can't say I'm a failure. To be honest, I've progressed. I've done successful high level events, and I've succeeded at it. So it made me to be very, very resilient, right? To understand how to read, should I say, patterns for myself, that if this thing is not working, is there a better way to do it? Or I should stop doing it. So it's from that place of resilience that I'm able to now start picking, should I call it, data points for me that says, okay, this is how to do it, this is how I want to do it. So part of the approach or what what I picked from all those experiences is for me to be resilient. And there's this thing I called there's this word that I heard from, I think it was John Maxwell. No, I'm not sure it's John Maxwell. I think it's Reverend Sam Adeyemi, an incurable optimist. I remember the first time I heard that word, I wrote it down somewhere in my notepad. I'm an incurable optimist. Like, I'm always optimistic, even in bad situation. You know, I'm always, I'm always, I'm always optimistic that this thing will will sort it out. So, and that's a function of the things. Uh, uh, the function of the things, those touch points of failure, it made me to be very resilient. I hardly give up easily on things. But the thing is, if I give up on it, then that's it. So that's it. So resilience is what. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay,
So
you mentioned something earlier when you were
resilience is
answering
key.
the question. You said thank you. Um, you mentioned something earlier when you were answering the question. You said that there are things that you've had touch points of failure, or you feel that and then you stopped entirely, and there are things that you feel that and then you sat on it. At what point did we draw the line? When do we know that okay, this thing that I feel and this thing I'm supposed to stop it? Maybe it's not my thing, or I'm supposed to redo it over and over again. At what point do we draw the line that okay, should I stop or should I stay on it?
Hmm. Hmm. That's a very that's a very good question. So I think it works differently for different people, and it boils down to what to an understanding of the person, right? Um, let me say, for example, I'm in the event industry. I I like doing corporate events. Corporate is my niche. That's what I train myself on. It's not like I can't do weddings, but I don't like doing weddings. If not, I can't deal with doing weddings. So I think it starts from the point of understanding yourself. So if you have a proper understanding of yourself, you will know when you are failing at something and you are not succeeding at it. You will know when to stop. And you will know when you're failing at something and you know that this thing I will succeed at it and I will get it, I will succeed at it and I will get it done, which boils down to having an understanding. Also also boils down to pro- most most importantly what God has shown you about yourself, right? So if God has shown you that you great at something, yes, God won't give you all the details and all of that, and you end up failing at it. Doesn't mean you should stop. Sometimes it might mean that, but or it doesn't mean you you should how should I put it? It doesn't mean that you are not good at it. It just means that you should find another way to get it done, right? So for me, I think it boils down to having an understanding of your person and understanding of the pattern that works for you. So it's not, and that is different for everybody, right? So there's no hard hard and fast rule to it that if you are going this line and you are failing at it, stop. And if these kind of things are happening to you, still keep at it. No, it's different from everybody for everybody. So you need to have a proper understanding a proper understanding of yourself. Like the example I gave, I can't do weddings. It's not like I won't succeed at it, but it's not my core person. It's not my core. It's not who I am. So I don't do wedding. I didn't train myself on it. So 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 for me, I think it boils down to having a proper understanding of your personality, of your person, knowing who you are essentially.
Okay, thank you. So, having an understanding of your person, knowing your personality, your strengths, your weaknesses, it will guide you. You know, okay, maybe this thing is just not for me, or let me try this thing again. All right, thank you very much. That was very, very
Mhm.
insightful. All right, now you're mentioning mindset. It's a mindset thing. Mindset this, mindset that. So, what mindset shifts are necessary for us to view failure as an opportunity for growth? Like you said, failure is part of the learning process. It is not the opposite of success. It is part of growth. It is part of learning. So, what mindset shift do we need for us to start seeing failure as an opportunity for growth?
Okay, I'm trying to, I'm trying to sort of understand that question. How do you mean mindset shift?
Like you
Can you
mentioned
hear me?
that failure is the way we see failure. Yeah, I can hear you. You mentioned that the way we see failure is based on our mindset. Failure is an event, not a person. For people who have seen who see failure as a person, as a personality, what mindset shift do they need to start to move from viewing failure as a person to viewing failure as an event or part of the process of success?
To be honest, that's the mindset. That alone itself is the mindset.
How do I develop that mindset?
I'm trying to
For
bring it
instance, I've been
home
saying,
to my, is it my network? The network is cutting, is going off and on. Yes, I can hear you now. Hello?
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
As if for instance myself, I see failure as a person. Maybe if I have a setback, I just tell myself, oh, I've failed, I'm a failure. My question, what I'm trying to ask is, how do I begin to see failure as an event?
You are
For
breaking
somebody who
now,
sees
though.
failure as, can you hear me now?
You're still breaking.
How about now?
Yes, I can hear you now. The network is a bit choppy.
Did you get my, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. My network went off a bit.
Okay. So did you get my question?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Is it mine or is your network?
I think it's your network.
Okay. Okay, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Did you get my
Please. Yes, I get your question, but I'm trying to kind of make it answer it in a more practical terms, in the sense that so when you say mindset shift is a it's, I don't see that. I don't want to see it as a shift. I want to see it as a constant. It's a constant mindset that you have. It's not. It doesn't have to be a shift, because if it's a shift, then it's not. It doesn't. It's not entrenched, or it's not. It's not part of your character, because if part of what I said that failure taught me is to be resilient. So, and resilience is sort of a character. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So it's not so much of a mindset shift. It's so much of a mindset posture. That's the posture of your mind every time. It's not even about when you fail, even when, as it were, you succeed. You have that mindset. That, and the truth is, success, success and failure. I read somewhere that failure is a revealer. Success also is a revealer. Failure reveals who you really are. Likewise, success. So it's not so much you are bad at this, you are bad at that. Sometimes even when you succeed, it reveals who you are. So it's not about, I don't see it as a shift. That's the constant, that's your mindset constantly. Whether you succeed, whether you fail, you have this mindset of viewing circumstances as an event, not as a definition of who you are. You draw your your identity from somewhere else. I draw mine from God, from my faith. So it's different from everybody. But what I'm saying is that it's not a shift. It's a posture of of your mind every time, whether you succeed, whether you fail. So that's the best way that I can answer that your question in very practical in practical terms. It's not a shift, it's a posture.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, but I don't know if you I don't know, maybe I'm not asking the question very well, you know.
Okay.
But let's move on. Okay, so can you recommend any resources that have helped you develop a growth mindset? It could be podcasts, it could be books, it could be anything, any resources that people can turn to that has helped you over the past years to develop a growth mindset.
Well, I think one of the books that has helped me is John Maxwell, Feeling Forward. I read Feeling Forward. I read that book while I was in school, and it was really helpful. Although I didn't finish the book, oh, I will not lie. But some of the things that I gleaned from the book was very helpful. And I read some couple of books that I can remember. And there's this guy I also listen to constantly. Um, is it? I'm trying to remember his name. J Shetty. J Shetty. I listen to his podcast, and I also there are some other podcasts that I listen to that kind of reestablish and recreate the fact that you need to constantly have that growth mind. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes. So those are there are a lot of recommendations out there, but one of the books that has really helped me is Failing Forward by John C. Maxwell.
Feeling forward.
Yes.
Okay, so you would recommend podcasts, you recommend books to people to help them develop growth mindset, yeah?
Yes. And exposure is key. Exposure is very key in terms of how to train oneself to carry this posture, to carry this mindset. So when you listen to people like Peladu Toye, when I at least I have seen firsthand, I I will go back to my guardian, how he had carryover in geology, and he came out now run his own HR company, and he's doing well, right? So when you see mirrors of people like that, and you will know that, man, this thing you will rise above it. So it's important that when you are in those kind of situations or have experiencing those sort of setbacks, aside reading books, you need to expose yourself to mirrors. I call it mirrors of possibilities, right? Like there's this saying that say what men have done, men can do. So if other people have done it, then you can do
Okay.
it, right? Um, so I believe aside just reading books, listening to podcasts, you need to expose yourself to mirrors of possibilities around you, right? You know, when we're in school, a lot of people they usually read books of people that are outside Nigeria, blah blah blah. When we have people that are inside Nigeria that have succeeded and all of that, there's this book about Femi Otedola that was just released, and the book has touch points of failure that everybody knows. So that those kind of books, as a Nigerian, you can relate with it, right? Because if in Nigeria, he succeeded in books in Nigeria, right? So it means that even while you're in Nigeria, you can still make make headway. So exposure is key. Yes, you read books to expose your mind, but um, is much more than that.
Thank you. Thank you. So beyond books, beyond podcasts, expose yourself to, in your words, mirrors of possibilities. I've learned
Mhm.
two phrases from you today. Now, thank you very much. All right, now I know that this podcast is for teens and teenagers, but this topic cuts across different aspects of our lives. It could be
Yeah.
career, it could be marriage, it could be, there are setbacks in not only with teenagers or with parenting, there are setbacks in different areas of life. Now, for
So
people who at the end of the year have set goals, myself inclusive, I set goal to I want to be able to achieve this by the end of the year, but unfortunately, we have been unable to achieve some of those things. Now, what message do you have for people who are struggling with setbacks? The year has ended or is coming to an end, and there are some goals that we have not achieved. There are some setbacks that we've had. So, what message do you have for people in that category? It could be in their marriage, it could be in their academics, it could be in their career, any area of life. What message do you have for people who are dealing with setbacks at this point in time?
thanks for that question. That is, there is this popular phrase in the streets. They say we go again. So as funny as that sounds, and that's the truth about life. You go again, right? So not just go again the way you went this year. You go again, learning from the things that served as a stumbling block from achieving what you want to achieve for this year. Yes, I had my own setbacks. That for example, just to be open, I had a financial goal that at the end of this year, I will I will have certain amount saved, right? But as at 5:48, I don't have that amount saved. Then I looked at it. Okay, why? Because as you know, you are the saver, me, I'm the spender. I've actually moved things around, and all of that. But to me, that that that's one of the things I took as a learning point of why I could not achieve that my goal is to put a structure in place. It was one of the things that was ringing in my head this morning for 2026, that I I need to put structure in place in in areas of my life, family, career, finances. We need to have structure, because structure gives clarity. Structure gives predictability, right? So uh, if if you have set a goal for this year and you could not achieve it, it's just to honestly sit back, is and first of all offer yourself grace, right? It's he that has life that can achieve a goal. And as 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 simple as that, those words are, they are very profound, and it has to come from a place of gratitude, right? So one thing that I need to one thing that I need to mention, that one other mindset that I also need to mention is to see failure as a privilege. It's a privilege for you to fail. Is a privilege. Is a pointer that that you are alive, that you are human. It's a pointer that you are a human being, and it's a privilege if you ever get to experience setbacks. Right? I just digressed a bit. So if if um, if at a point in your life when you're looking back, is to look at, okay, what are the things I need to stop doing? What are the things I need to start doing? So, and like I said, it's a constant thing. It's not just an end of the year thing. Year is coming to, no, it's not an end of the year thing. It's a constant. It should be a constant thing, and a constant review that one does. You know, it's an habit that I want to also start doing myself. Having to constantly edit your mindset, edit, because because if if you can picture it in your mind, then it's something that can translate to action, right? So I believe it's still that posture that we go again for next year, but not just going again, we go again, taking lessons from 2025 to now put to action in 2026, which will translate to achieving the goals that you have set for oneself for 2026. So that's what I will say to anyone that is being discouraged. As a tech, those things can be achieved. Those things are a possibility, highly possible. Whatever it is, highly possible. So it's just for one to see it as data. I don't know why I'm using the word data. Data are like patterns, right? So there are some patterns of how you do things, how you did things in 2025 that didn't work out, that you want is to edit and take it off and start working on it. Doesn't mean that first 2 months in 2026 you won't still do it, but by identifying it, it helps you to start working on it. And by the end of 2026, you see that, man, you're a different person. For you, for example, you started this podcast in January, if I can remember, and this is the 13th podcast. You kept at it, keep editing, reviewing it, and all of that. So that's the level of consistency that one can take to the public and say and collect money for. But can you hear me?
I think your network went off, but I can hear you now.
Yeah. So life is a journey. It's not a destination. So it's not the destination. Life is a journey. We're all on a journey. So I want to try to not try. I want to speak or impact those words into people that are listening. That life is a journey. It's not a destination. So we just have to keep we just have to keep getting better, better and better and better as we move along this journey of life. So those are my few words to encourage people.
Thank you very much. We go again. if whatever it is you wanted
Yeah,
to achieve this year, you didn't achieve it, we go again. And I like the fact that you said that, we should be grateful for life. We should always have that view, that how would I put that situation from a
sense of
perspective of
gratitude.
gratitude. Yeah, because being alive means that we can try again. It's someone who is alive that achieves a goal. So being alive means that we can try over and over and over again. And like you said, we should also
Yeah,
learn from the setbacks that we had this year, because it means that we didn't do something right, or we did something wrong, so we can learn from it and do it another way the following year, next year. So, and you know what they say about insanity? Insanity is, I think, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. If you're having
yeah,
setback
Rachel,
at
I can't
something,
hear you again. It's my network again.
can you
Yes,
can you
I
hear?
can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay. So I was saying that, this common definition of insanity, that if you are doing something over and over again and expecting a different result, I mean, that's
Yeah,
insanity. Having
expecting a
setbacks
different
means that
result.
you having setbacks means that you should be doing it in a different way. So I just, to people who have experienced setbacks this year and who are feeling discouraged, go back to the drawing board, and go again. Like our guest has said, go and check, okay, how did I do it this year? And it turned out this way. Maybe next year I can do it a different way to get a different result, right? Thank you very much, Olamide. Daramala, before we go, I'm drawing my questions anyway. Before we go, do you have anything you want to say? Any final words of encouragement for 2026? Anything you want to say to our audience for 2026, because we are looking forward to the next year. Do you have any final word for parents, for teenagers, for career people, for people in marriages, for people in school, anything at all before we go?
Well, um, part of I, I, part of one of like today when I was thinking about this podcast, one of the words I'm just thinking generally for 2026. One of the things that kept coming back to me is structure. Structure gives clarity, like I said. Structure gives predictability. But I understand that we as human beings, we don't like structure. Structure, and it's said in the Bible that if what can the righteous do if the foundation is destroyed? The foundation is not built anyhow. When you see a skyscraper, the foundation is deep and it's not built anyhow. You can't build a foundation, or else the house is will collapse. So that's why structure is key. So I would like to encourage everyone. Whatever structure can mean different things to different people. But I believe structure. When I say structure can mean different things to different people, can mean different. It can how people apply it can be different. But structure is something that we all need to build. We all need to have for us to build a life um, that we that we desire. And structure is not easy. The human flesh does not naturally. Me, I'm not a. I don't. I like structure, but when structure is too structured, it gets me off my flow, right? But structure is important, right? That's why even the way God created the world, created the universe, it was structured, right? So we need to have we need to build structure in every area of our lives: finances, marriage, career, parenting. We need to build structure, and it's not a one time thing. It's not a 100-meter race. It's a journey. It's something that you have to keep building, preset upon preset, line upon line, as you go along in this journey of life. Whether you're a teenager, you need to build a structure for yourself. A lot of teenagers don't like structure, right? But if you see a teenager that has structure, that teenager is going to get better.
I think your network. Okay, I think our guest network is fluctuating. I hope he comes back. Well, we're about rounding up the episode, and thank you. For those who have stayed up to this point. Yeah, is gone. Okay. So our topic was learning from setbacks, how failure can shape success. And our guest has really said a lot of things, and I'm just going to summarize before we end the episode or the podcast. He said failure is an event. Failure is not who you are. It is an event. Sorry, I think your network.
Yes, network.
Okay,
So,
we are even far behind time. So, yeah, you can round up what you were saying.
so it's all about building structure for 2026. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me to the last podcast of the year 2025. It is an awesome
Yay.
journey starting from the beginning of the year, right? And I can say that I'm proud of how far the podcast have come actually. So, and I believe that 2026 is going to get better. And we have more more guests. And we have more impact as we as we grow the
Amen.
community. Right.
Amen. Thank you very, very much, Olamide.
Welcome.
Naramala, thank you. All right, so you'll be going off stage now while I, end the episode. So thank you once again
Thank
for
you. Bye
your
bye,
time.
everyone.
Bye. Okay, so like I was saying, he said that failure is an event, not who you are. Once you have a touch point of failure, do not personalize it and say, "Oh, I have failed." No, it's not you. It's not your identity. It's just a touch point. Oh, you've had setback, and then you go again. Like I said, we go again. We go again, and be grateful for life because your life means that you can do it again. Because your life means that you can try again. All right. So always view it from the perspective of gratitude. Be grateful for life. Thank you once again for staying up to this point. I'll see you in the next episode, of course, which is next year. So this is me wishing you a happy new year in advance. I'll see you in 2026. Until then, I remain your host for Lakemi Abiodun. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.